If you read the opening statement on the Welcoming Anchorage welcome page, it says, when Anchorage became part of Welcoming America in 2014, we became part of a movement to acknowledge and activate the diversity we have come to know so well. We know that welcoming is a character and a value that defines our city and all who call Anchorage home. We are welcoming because we understand that being far away, tucked up here in the northern corner of the U.S., we need each other, especially when times are tough and we face an uncertain future. As Alaskans, what matters is our willingness to extend a hand, not what color or political persuasion or sexual orientation may be on the other end of the hand. What counts is our promise in our state to each other. And we recommit to being a welcoming community. We stand together in kindness and grace. We are grateful for being welcomed into this incredible land by those who came before us, and we are eager to welcome all who are committed to ensuring a safe and happy home for generations to come. That and more, written by Mara Kimmel, our First Lady of Anchorage. And I love that, because when I read it and when I look at all the materials that go along with this Welcoming Anchorage movement, I'm really proud to be an Alaskan transplant. Really proud to be here, because this is about saying, yeah, we have something good going on here, and we can make it even better. It's not complacent. Oh, we're doing pretty good. Awesome. We want to make it better. And that's what the spiritual journey is about. I think we say, hey, we're doing pretty good. Well, we can make it even better. We got a good thing, let's make it even better. And since there's no line for me between spiritual life and everyday life, there's no such thing as a line, I believe this desire to move forward and continue to make improvements is embedded in us all. I mean, my ancestors wanted to make their lives better. I mean, your ancestors, they figured out wheels. And they figured out boats. And they figured out all sorts of things, airplanes and not just practical things. I mean, I just spent 2 weeks looking at some of the best art, according to some people, in the world. Art makes our world better too. Doesn't serve a practical purpose. Lifts up our soul purpose. Moves us to tears purpose. And this isn't a new thing. We consider the well-known ancient oath, the Hippocratic Oath. It starts with do no harm. Did you know it was from the 3rd to 5th century BC? You may learn amazing things when you go on the internet. But these are not new ideas. When you look at the golden rule, do unto others as you wish to be done unto you, that's kind of the school version of it. But the world religions agree. It's not, the Baha'is say, ascribe not to any soul that which thou wouldst not have ascribed to thee, and say not that which thou doesn't not. The Buddhists say, one should seek for others the happiness one desires for oneself. From Christian scriptures, therefore all things whatsoever ye that would men should do to you, do ye even so to them. Confucianism, try your best to treat others as you would wish to be treated yourself, and you will find that it's the shortest way to benevolence. I got more. I got Hinduism, Islam, Jainism, Judaism, Native American, and Roman pagan. They all say the same thing. Now you know. So, why? What's that about? It's like the core teaching. the core understanding of being human, of anyone who starts to think about these things. And yet, we're still so bad at it. We can be. I mean, so this is what we're doing this whole doing a series on practicing inclusivity. It's a workbook by Sharif Abdullah. I met him at the national conference in June, and he's really amazing. He's like helped countries stop wars in their country and things like that. And he does really amazing work. He knows what he's talking about. And he starts with the golden rule. Because when we're not practicing inclusivity, we're practicing exclusivity. And often that exclusivity is, the outpicturing of that is that someone is the other. They're different from me. Whatever category in quotes, that we want to put them in. And when someone is the other, or they don't belong, they are not worthy or deserving of our love, resources, respect, and in extreme situations, they're not even worthy of life. So this inclusivity or exclusivity thing is kind of a big deal. And Sharif says, and I quote, he says that the world view of exclusivity is the basis behind all the isms that we have in our society. For example, racism, sexism, homophobia, etc. I think he's right. And he continues that without looking at the issues of exclusivity and otherness, that we cannot really heal and transform these isms that plague our society. You know, we say, okay, we're going to solve poverty, but can we solve poverty without saying that these people are the same as us? I don't think we can. Can we solve any of these world problems? He has a whole big list on his slide that he uses during his presentation, just like tons of them. We have to start with this. So how do we do that? I mean, I don't want to be a downer, but we start with ourselves, obviously. And we start with taking what works and making it better. So if we look at the baseline of inclusivity, the golden rule, and bravely reflect on how we've embodied it and how we can do better. So with this insight, we get to take action, right? Because the Unity's fifth principle is knowing spiritual truth is not enough. We have to work it. We have to do it. We have to put it into action in our lives. Now, most of us have blind spots. We've all grown up with certain beliefs about something, about the world, about somebody who's different than us. It's culturally ingrained in us. That's how it goes. And as we grow up, and often when people go to college, they learn a whole bunch of things they didn't realize about the world, and those things continue to evolve. But we have those blind spots that we don't know about necessarily, and we learn them growing up. And maybe we learned when we were young that a different group was different or less or going to hell or whatever they were. They weren't as good as us. Or maybe you learned that a certain group was better than you. Some people probably learned that they were better. That could happen too. So, but inclusivity is not about all of us putting in the same box or thinking that we're all look the same or we should look the same. It's about understanding our unique qualities and being grateful for them and not just tolerating them, but welcoming them. And because inclusivity is the perspective that we're all one. And no exceptions. And what I loved about my travels in Europe these last couple weeks, and those who probably have had similar experiences, I have Most of the pictures I have from our trip, I took with my camera, and then I have some selfies that I took of us. But every now and then, I have some pictures that are like, you can tell that I didn't take them because they're far enough away from us that somebody else took those pictures. And, you know, you take pictures for someone and they're like, "Oh, I'll take your picture." And you're always kind of like scoping them out and make sure that they're not going to run away with your camera, of course, but as a wise person does. What was so great is those pictures that I have that were taken by other people, I have probably half a dozen of them, and they were all taken by different people of different nationalities. And many of them were people who didn't even necessarily speak the same, like a language that overlaps with any of the languages I speak very well. Which is even better. And to me, that's just like a little piece of what we're going for, is like, we're all here together. We're all one. We don't have to speak the same language. We don't have to understand each other very well as far as our languages, as long as we just know that you are an expression of God just as I am, and are as worthy of love and resources and a happy life as I am. And that's what was so great about seeing, you know, we went to the audience for the Pope, which was so cool. But what was really amazing about it is you've got, I don't know how many people were there. Probably a couple thousand, right? I don't know how many people fit in there. And it's happy. I mean, when it, you have this huge crowd of people and everybody is so happy to be there. Except for maybe a few crying babies, you know. Everybody's so happy to be there and happy to stand in line and follow the instructions of the Swiss guards and the gendarmes and all the, just do whatever you need to do to go and be in your place. And there was a group flying their flags from Argentina, and they had brought a guitar and they were playing music, and everybody was like singing and dancing and stuff beforehand. And it was a big, amazing party. And the cardinals got up and they spoke the different languages. They spoke like 8 different languages, and they said the same address in all these different languages. And so obviously you're smushed up against all these people who you can't talk to, but everybody was so happy to be there. I mean, and it was because we were there to see the Pope, but there was plenty of people like me who were not Catholic who were there. Saw at least one Buddhist monk in the full yellow robes. But it's about that same, like, when we can all be here in the same place, going for the same energy with the same enthusiasm, it feels wonderful and amazing when we all are like on the same field. Just a little piece of heaven. Heaven's here on earth, right? But when we really, really know what that's like, and that joy of all like being together and not being like, I'm gonna get the best spot. You know, I mean, people are trying to get the best spot, of course, right? I mean, you're still trying to get the best spot, but not in the way that it is in most other situations when you're trying to get the best spot. So birds are coming, just like St. Francis, right? So for me, those experiences of being with pilgrims of all different backgrounds and nationalities from all over the world is a reminder that we're all in this together, and we can do all these amazing things when we try to be inclusive and try to be connected. And so we practice inclusivity. Inclusivity is a practice. It's not a destination like meditation or cooking. We don't get to a final destination. We just keep getting better, more skillful even. Instead of saying better, we're just more skillful at it maybe. So we're looking for that continued mastery and improvement. So what we are doing this week is to think about these things. What does being inclusive look like? We want to be a part of what Mara is talking about, welcoming Anchorage and making our city, our state, even more inclusive of people who are here. I say yes. But how do we do that in our everyday life? Well, let's think about it. I mean, let's do some like thinking and journaling and asking questions and discussing of these things. Here's some questions. Who has been the other? Who have you put in the other box in your life or in your, day-to-day interactions? And how did that act picture in your past? You don't even have to talk about what's going on now. Like that might be, you can start with, that silly thing that you did when you were 20 or whatever. That you can start there. That's fine. It's good to just talk about it or write it down, journal about it. Let's be brave. And maybe think about, when have I been the excluded one? Because that helps us build compassion, right? And have compassion for how that happened, but it also helps us remember what it's like to be the excluded one. And when have I fallen short of the golden rule? Just thinking, writing, discussing, being brave, right? Journaling maybe. When have I had a beautiful moment of understanding and oneness with another? Because when we have those moments, they help us kind of lead the way. Okay, we're on the right track. Okay, we did that. That's good. We want to do that more. And when we take the time to reflect on these things, when we take the time to, you can think about them as you're driving down the road. That's a good time to think about things, as long as you're making sure you remember that there's ice on the road too. As you're going along and you're thinking about these things, it helps me when I do this to say, oh, well, that's a trigger for me to go into less than skillful behavior or less than skillful response. Let me see how I could do that better. Let me see how I could do that differently. And when I take time to reflect, then I can do a better job and be more skillful next time. And so that's what we're about here. We're practicing. We're working on making our world a better place and our actions a better place and our lives a better place by living in that place of oneness. We talk about oneness. We talk about how we're all one and how we're all connected and all that. And that's great. And it's true. And we believe it. This is like the doing it part. So that's all there is. Practicing inclusivity is the key to unlock a more peaceful and just world. And it begins here and now. With me, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. So there you go.